morning. My name is John Petrak. I serve as the Executive Vice President of the Realtors Association of Metropolitan Pittsburgh. During this year, we are endeavoring to produce a video series relative to fair housing in the greater Pittsburgh metropolitan area, as well as diversity and inclusion within the industry itself. This morning, I'm joined by the Executive Director of the Pittsburgh Human Relations Commission, JamHammond. Jam, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
thank you for joining us. If you don't mind telling me a little bit about yourself, your background.
Sure, I mean about me, so I'm not originally from Pittsburgh, I'm from Boston, Mass. And I came here in 2016 to get my master's degrees in public administration and social work. I finished that in 2019. Just before that, I came to the commission. So I had been kind of looking for, a government public service type of position, and it kind of fit a lot of boxes, as I'm also a social worker and interested in diversity inclusion. So I've been at the commission since then, March 2019. I started as an outreach and intake coordinator, and only just, I believe it was last December or so, that I was hired into the executive director position. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congrats. So far so good?
Yeah, so far so good. Really busy, but I guess I expected that, so it's been good.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about the HRC itself, the Human Relations Commission.
So what we do is, we do a couple of things. I'd say one of the things that we're most known for is enforcement. So we do enforcement in the areas of employment, housing, public accommodations, and city services against discrimination. So we take in complaints in housing, we call them fair housing complaints, and we investigate them. We come to a finding, we present them to the commission. We hopefully do a lot of mediation as well. So all of the complaints that we take on before they come to a finding or after they come to a finding have opportunities to do mediation. So we have 3 trained mediators on staff, and the best outcome often comes from mediation, where people can sit down and come to like a voluntary agreement. So we do the mediation side, and then we do outreach and education for everyone here in the community, whether it's professionals who are making sure that they are adhering to their responsibilities, or citizens to make sure that they know their rights. We do outreach and education in those areas. And then we do a little bit of research trying to define policy, what is going to be the best Pittsburgh going forward in terms of diversity and inclusion. So we do a little bit of policy work too. Okay, very good. And you may or may not know that there's actually not all real estate licensees are realtors. And realtors have to subscribe to a stricter code of ethics. And one of the particular articles of that code of ethics is Article 10, which addresses discrimination. A little bit of kudos for the association. Even prior to, we've actually expanded it to include the LGBTQ plus community. So, I will give us some kudos about that. Our association has been advocating on a national level for expanded testing. And that probably is a direct result of Long Island Divided, which I don't know if you're familiar with that. It was a 3-year test conducted by some reporters in Long Island that was unfortunately a little bit disappointing to the industry. How will the local office participate in that expanded testing? So the way that testing works here in the city of Pittsburgh is that we actually work with another person, so another organization. In the HUD world, there are 2 types of organizations that HUD supports in a specific way. There's something like us, which is a Fair Housing Assistance Program, a FAP, and then there's a Fair Housing Initiative Program, a FIP. And so the FIP in the city of Pittsburgh is the Fair Housing Partnership of Greater Pittsburgh. And they do the testing in this area. So when we being the commission, receive our CBDG funds, we're paying part of that to go to testing that FHP does, and they'll present us testing reports. So we can talk to them about the types of testing, the types of subjects we want to do, but they do all the testing in the city of Pittsburgh.
What are the most common complaints that you see?
I'd say the most common type of complaints that we see have to do with disabilities. I think disability-related complaints are, across the board, our most common type of complaint. I will say we don't see a ton of home buying related complaints. In that area, we would be more likely to see what I've seen is steering. So steering is one of the things that occurs when a person is either showing an apartment or a home, and they're trying to get that consumer to choose a different area, a geographical place, based on their protected class identity. So steering is a type of discrimination. It's often, even someone might not realize that they're doing it, but when you're doing it, you're limiting that person's fair housing choice. So in the home buying area, I'd say steering, and I'd say on the basis of race or national origin is one of the more common things I'd see there. But going back up to the fair housing in general, I'd say disability, and we see a lot of those in terms of reasonable accommodations in a person's rental. So somebody will need to have an accommodation or a modification to their home, and they really have trouble navigating the process with their property manager or with the landlord to try to get their accommodation. So that's where I think a lot of people struggle.
And have you noticed any particular patterns?
In terms of patterns, I would say the Commission has actually seen fewer complaints, but over the region we've seen more complaints. I think people are in their homes more often. I don't think I've seen an increase in percentage of complaints that are by race. I think they're the same disability and race by percentage as they were before. So disability, reasonable accommodations, because people are in their homes all the time, they're realizing this isn't always a workable environment for me, or we do still see race, people are home with their neighbors more, and they're starting to see that feel like they're being treated differently. So different treatment in terms of race is what we often see.
And is there anything that the association can do to help?
Well, I would say, the associations have been really great with education. We're always happy to come in also and partner more in education. I think that's one of the best things that has happened in our areas, that the associations have been really great with fair housing education. I think we would be, absolutely happy to partner more and talk about more topics, more areas. Especially there are some smaller things that people might not realize, especially with steering. It can happen because of maybe like implicit bias or something like that. So maybe something more in depth that we could work on to address some of the things that are underlying as to why discrimination occurs.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate you participating.
Yeah,
and best of luck in the new position.
Thank you.